research to help solve real-world problems. NASA satellite imagery and model forecasts play an important role in monitoring the performance of crops worldwide and help prepare for food shortages. NASA's view from space helps government agencies forecast food insecurity, like during the drought in South Africa in 2018. By identifying drought conditions before they occur, NASA and other agencies and partners can help communities prepare for food shortages in advance. Next, I'd like to provide a couple examples of NASA spin-offs, which are NASA technologies that have transformed into commercial products and services that have benefited life on Earth. For instance, Radar Technologies International is a private firm that used NASA satellite and other remote sensing topography data to develop software that located over 66 trillion gallons of water deep beneath the surface of region northwest Kenya, which is stricken by drought. And this discovery has helped sustain the country, hopefully for over 70 years, and bring long-lasting stability to that area. Another spin-off is a potentially life-saving application to help move our cancer research forward. Using space filters and algorithms created for a NASA-funded vascular study, researchers today are able to identify three-dimensional shape of a tumor. This is extremely important in the advancement of cancer research. So as you can see, these are a few examples of the wide breadth of NASA missions, research, and application. Behind the scenes of each and every aspect of this work is the dedication of the people that propels the research forward. These incredible discoveries and accomplishments would not be possible without the help of our interns. So in fact, NASA has a robust offering of student opportunities, and I'd like to turn it over to Lester to provide an overview of some of those different opportunities. Lester, I think you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to start out with Pathways. So there are 3 internship programs that we're going to talk to you about. Pathways is the first one. So when you hear the word Pathways, you certainly, if you're looking to work with NASA long-term, if you're looking to work with NASA permanently, if you're looking to establish yourself or your career with NASA, certainly Pathway could be a way for you to do that. The other 2 and number 3 can also lead to a Pathways internship, but a direct open or a direct way to get to becoming a NASA civil servant is through the NASA Pathways internship. Next slide, please. So Pathways is offered in every NASA center, as well as the number 3, which is the OSTEM internship. JPL, that one is only offered at JPL, and Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But JPL internships are only offered there. The other 1 and 3 are offered in all different NASA centers. So do not be shy in applying to a pathway position, not necessarily at the location that you would like. I always tell students, go ahead and apply, because as a pathway student, you may have an opportunity to switch from one center to another. Next slide, please. All right. So majors. So this is important for all of you as you're seeking to continue your education, right? Your education career. Many of the pathways opportunity, I would say 80 to 85%, even 90% of those opportunities are in STEM focused majors. Those are your science, your technology, your engineering, your mathematics, all of those STEM focus. And in pathways, you can easily identify over 200 of those majors. That doesn't mean that we don't have a position for those of you who are in business, in education, in the arts, graphic design, and all other areas. We do. It's just to a lesser extent. And so there is, therefore, if you want to play your career, STEM career in the most successful track, certainly you want to choose a major or follow through in a major with, the very heavy STEM focus. Now, business and all other majors, because NASA actually needs the accounting, the business, the journalism, the marketing, all of the other careers, but there is less of them. There is less opportunity, but certainly you can still work for NASA in those areas. Next slide, please. All right, so this is what you will need to know about pathways. I'm going to start off also by saying that I'm going to post a site on the site, and you can certainly browse through it as well. That website takes you directly to a USA job. So can we go to the next slide? And we're going to talk now more in depth as to what pathway is. I've been working for NASA for over now 12 years, but I recently became a pathways intern myself. I started the process over 2 years ago. I then entered pathways last year, and I finished pathways in March of this year. So recently was converted to a NASA civil servant, even though I was working for NASA as a contractor the previous 10 and a half years or so. But this is what you need as a pathway applicant. You need to be a US citizen. You need to have completed at least 30 semester hours. Now, why do you think that is? Well, that's because NASA wants to understand that you're a student that can keep the GPA of 2.9, that you're committed to your education, right? That you are, really focused on getting your degree. And so we want the student to already have committed at least 30 semester hours. That gives NASA and those seeking your skills a good understanding of where you will be as an employee. You must maintain a 2.9, just not only to apply to pathways position, but to stay in a pathway position. And they will make sure that you understand that, because the minute your GPA, and you have to turn in transcripts every semester to the pathways office. I was asked to do that every time. And so they are looking for that GPA. The minute that GPA drops, you are put right away on a probation notice, and to the point that you can actually lose your pathway position. Now, what is unique about pathways, right, is also that it is an internship program, but it's an internship program where you have benefits, and therefore you must keep up with all the required steps of pathways. Another requirement of pathways is that you need to complete 640 hours of actual work at the NASA center that you are stationed at. So that means that you have to commit to those 640 hours and complete a project or complete whatever it is that they assign you to do. Now, if you are a senior graduating, right, next semester, then of course, you're not going to have enough time to complete those 640 hours. So for those of you who are starting their junior year, in their sophomore year, you are in prime time to join the pathway workforce, because that gives you enough opportunity, enough time to complete those 640 hours. Now, pathways allows you to stay one semester in school and come back one semester at NASA without competing anymore. Once you have your pathway position, it's yours until you graduate. Until you finish your degree, you are an intern for NASA, and you don't need to compete anymore for another position. So some of my peers were coming to NASA 2 semesters and were going to school 2 semesters. In my case, I was doing a degree, doing all my schooling online. So I was able to do a non-traditional pathways internship, which meant that I went to work full time and I did my studies at during the weekends or in the evenings. And so you can also do that if your degree allows for you to do that. And you must have at least one academic year remaining. And that's why I say, for those of you who are sophomores, that means you came off your freshman year with at least 30 credits, right? And juniors, you have another year left until you can do your junior and senior year as pathways. Now, another unique part of pathways, can we go to the next slide, please? Is that now Pathways has two different tracks. One where you're in a single center your whole time, just like I did. I was a Kennedy my whole time in Pathways. But now they also have a track where you can go to two other centers aside from NASA Kennedy. So you can go to Marshall and you can go to Johnson. This is not to say those are the only three. For now, they are still exploring this setup to see if that is something that they will continue to offer to other centers. But for now, Johnson, Kennedy, and Marshall have what they called a multi-center track pathways. Next slide, please. Okay. Here are the centers that are participating. And now you also have to remember that once you have attained that position, you are automatically put into one of those centers. So you may start at Kennedy, or you may start at Marshall or at Johnson, but throughout your multi-center track, you will visit all three centers for at least a semester. And then, at the end, then I assume, because this is the first time they're doing it, actually they are in their second or third rotation, which means that they probably haven't had any students that have finished every single rotation, or they are about to have at least one or two students who have finished every single rotation. Then they will offer as to which position in whichever center has the position available for you to transition from being an intern to being a full-time employee. Now, remember those 640 hours that you had to work on? Well, those 640 hours, you are actually working on what will be your future job with NASA, and what will be your career, and what will be your full-time employment, your lifetime employment, or your permanent employment with the agency. And so that's why it's critical that you complete those 640 hours, because that way it gives you an introduction into your future job, into your future position. And when you do become a full-time employee with decision-making abilities and so forth, you already know what you are doing, and you've been trained in what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it for the previous 6 months or so that it took you to complete those 640 hours. So next, please. For the single center track, we have more availability. So all these centers are participating. You attain one of the pathway positions, and you start at that one center. I will tell you at this time, do not limit yourself. For example, if you put a pathway position, if your search engine, Kennedy Space Center, for example, Kennedy Space Center may have only like 6 positions available, whereas Johnson Space Center may have 30. So yes, apply to all 30 at Johnson and all 6 at NASA Kennedy, but more likely you probably have a better chance of getting at Johnson Space Center because they have more positions. So when it comes to pathway positions, they're very few, and they're only open 3 times a year. Only 3 times a year. So that means that they will open in the fall, they will open in the winter, and they will open in the spring. 3 times a year, and that's it. If you miss the deadline, and they're only open for a few days, sometimes 3 days, sometimes 5 days, but they're very fast. It's a very fast turnaround, and you need to be on alert. For example, right now, they told me that for the fall, these are going to be the positions that are going to be awarded for the spring semester. The positions will open in the fall, late September, early October. late September, so the last week in September, the first week in August, they will open pathway positions. So now there are two ways that you can apply to a pathway position. Next slide, please. Oh, these are definitely the benefits. As an intern, you already have full benefits. Like if you were a NASA employee already, that means you get leave, you get vacation, holidays, you can start a retirement, you have sick leave, annual leave, you have all of this. This is unique for an intern to have all these benefits. That's very unusual. Interns only obtain their stipend or their salary, and that's it. But as a pathway intern, you are treated like an employee, and therefore you have all these benefits: healthcare, dental, vision, retirement. All of these things are available to you as a pathway intern. Next slide, please. So here are the ways that you can apply to become a pathway intern. One of the places you can go to USA Jobs, and that's what I put in the original link that I gave you. USA Jobs is a secure way of you to go in there and create your profile. Now, for pathways and all of the NASA positions, you must create your profile on the USA Jobs tools. They don't like, the system doesn't like that you upload your resume in a PDF or that you upload your resume in the Word document. They want you to build your resume in there. You can also apply for Pathways internship now in the regular internship website, intern.nasa.gov. And that's, we will revisit this site at a later time today, but that's where you go. Now, so you have those two options. Now, why is it important for you to have it in the USA Jobs? Well, when you have it in the USA Jobs, if you go there right now and in the keywords search engine, you put pathways there, right? You will not only get the NASA Pathways opportunity, but every single government agency opportunity. And so therefore, it will behoove you to create your account and really focus on creating a great profile, a great resume in the tool itself. Try not to upload a PDF file with the resume or a Word document. Okay, you can upload your transcripts, letters of letters of intent, and so forth. But the resume itself, you want to build it there in the tool. And I think make sure you're checking on those pathway positions all the time, because again, I said it, in the fall for the spring, we'll open it at the end in September, first week in October. And then in the spring, we'll open for the summer. And it usually opens second week in February. And it closes like the third week in February. And then for the fall, it will open in the summer, and it usually opens in the month of June or early July. So at this time, next slide, I think this was the last one. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Lester. That was a great overview of the Pathways program. Next, I'm going to provide an overview of the JPL internship programs. Okay. So as you saw in the map that Lester shared earlier, JPL is one of the 10 NASA centers. However, we are a little different in that we are managed by Caltech for NASA, and so we are a federally funded research and development center. While JPL does not have a Pathways program, we do participate in the NASA STEM internship program, which Lester will share with you in a few minutes. And we also have our own center unique internship programs managed by the Education Office at JPL. These internship opportunities are open to U.S. citizens as well as lawful permanent residents. So green card holders are eligible to apply. The opportunities are open to undergraduate as well as graduate students pursuing STEM degrees with a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or above. And the internships are, the first internship must be a 10-week plus experience, and subsequent internship terms can be less than that. We have full-time opportunities available as well as part-time opportunities if you choose to partake in an internship that is during your academic semester. Okay, so interns at JPL through the Education Office are not employees of JPL. They're actually considered affiliates. However, that comes with as an affiliate, students are issued a stipend, and stipends are prorated based on your full-time participation or part-time participation. In addition to that, housing and or travel allowances are available for students who attend a university that is 50 miles beyond the radius of JPL, and those allowances are only eligible in a few of our programs. Not all programs will offer that. As a benefit to our internship, students are conducting research-based projects under guidance of a scientist or engineer. And during their experience at JPL, students are invited to partake in professional development activities to develop professional skills in their areas. To apply, you go to the JPL internship site, which is listed here. There are a suite of different programs offered, so please review the programs and select the one that best fits your interest. Click on the program information for additional info and select Apply Now when you're ready. Next, you'll come to this site. You'll need to create an account and a password and select the student application. Once you complete that, you'll see an application form, and you'll have to complete that form thoroughly. Once you complete the form, you'll need to upload a digital version of your resume. So unlike the Pathways program, you'll have to upload a PDF copy of your resume and also a PDF copy of your latest unofficial transcript. Go through the application, check the agreement box at the bottom, and submit. Once you do that, you'll get an opportunity to review your application and edit any information that you need to edit, and then finalize it and submit your application. So JPL's internship programs is unique, and I believe all internship programs are unique, but our programs place students with renowned scientists and engineers to work on some of the most important research and space missions. At JPL, interns are not making copies or making coffee runs. Our interns work on real research projects that contribute and move NASA research forward. Our programs place the students with renowned scientists and engineers to work on the most important research and space missions. Here you see images of students or interns that have worked on multiple different projects at JPL. Let's see, as an example, we had an aerospace student work on Perseverance rover, the Mars 2020 rover, to help keep the spacecraft contamination free as possible. And this was conducted under the guidance of the contamination control section, which helps keep germs at bay. And then as you see here, Mariah, fourth image on the top row to the right, she has worked on the Spitzer team to help develop a database to capture the Space Telescope data and archive that data in a way that is useful for scientists and engineers going forward. And Brandon, second to the left on the second row here, was part of a team that worked on new concepts for the next Mars rover. He actually recently graduated from North Carolina A&T and has now since then joined JPL as a full-time employee. And Somalia's in the red t-shirt here, she worked on she was part of the entry, descent, and landing team to make sure that NASA Mars 2020 rover lands on Mars safely. So as you can see, the examples I share here are real research-based engineering projects that students work on throughout the experience of their internship. So again, we strive to pair students with the topic of their interest and to provide you with an experience that is really STEM focused and propels your research forward. Next, I'm going to turn it back to Lester to provide some information on the STEM engagement internships.
All right. So, thank you, Jenny, for reminding me. As part of Pathways, just also want to tell you that you do get real research or real projects with Pathways. So you are given a major piece of the puzzle, and you follow through. In my case, my piece of the puzzle was to create a partnership with National Science Foundation, a particular part of National Science Foundation with EPSCoR and NASA EPSCoR. So those two had to merge. And so that was a big project where I had to learn NSF legal, NASA legal, and create a partnership between those two parts. Now, with STEM engagement internships, so these are internships that are offered year round, every semester, and the deadlines are really based on as soon as they hire the intern or the person with the right skills, that particular engagement slot, it's off the tables. Otherwise, it will remain there until they find the right person. Next slide, please. STEM engagement is for one semester only. That doesn't mean that you will not be able to come back another semester. It's just it's offer for one semester. Remember, Pathways was 1-2 semester consecutive. You decide how you want to do it, and you, as long as you complete your 640 hours, that was Pathways. With the STEM engagement, the requirements are a little bit different. As you can see right away, you need a 3.0 GPA. You need to be a U.S. citizen. You need to be currently enrolled in a university or a college, and seeking a degree. You also are only here for one academic semester. So the fall, 16 weeks. The spring, 16 weeks. The summer, 10 weeks. So as you can see, it's very, in their cases, 16, 16, 10. Whereas that's not the case for Pathways. You come in and you go as you please with Pathways. In the STEM engagement one, you are also provided a project that you will follow the project for the extent of your stay with us, with NASA. And at the end, you are going to present your project or the advances of your project, or where do you leave your project as you depart NASA. I will tell you the work that you do at NASA in those 16 weeks or those 10 weeks will speak volumes of you. Today, I will tell you that right now, I have actually 3 interns that I look after here at Kennedy. And 2 of my 3 interns have already been offered other positions for the fall. Okay. And that is because their work is speaking, and you have a chance to network with other peers, other student engagement interns, and you're able to find out what they're doing and meet people and so forth. And so other opportunities will open for you. Now, STEM engagement is only one semester, but it certainly provides you with that opportunity that when you apply for a pathway position, you can say that you were already an intern with a STEM engagement group. That gives you a little leverage to make your application a little bit more noticeable, right? Because you've already had experience as an intern with NASA. Okay. Let me see. Increasing sound because I'm seeing that some of the sound comes on and off. Next slide, please. With the STEM engagement internships, you have only the option of going to a single center. So again, I tell the students, do not limit yourself to a particular geographical location. You want to make sure that that you give yourself as much opportunity as possible. So if you say, I want to go to Kennedy Space Center, where they launch rockets, I will tell you that every semester we have between 40 and 60 students that come to Kennedy Space Center. But when you compare that to Goddard, for example, where they may have 200 plus students, or Johnson, where they may have 200 plus students, your chances of getting an internship there are much greater. So but you can apply to any NASA center. Don't limit yourself. And also keep this in mind. Every semester, you can only apply to 15 positions. 15. Okay. So be careful when reading all the descriptions and what it is. If you get too excited and you start applying to every position that you come across, when you actually get to the one position that you really, really want, you may not have any more slots to apply for. So you can only apply to 15. Now, for pathways, you can apply to all of them if you like. There is no limit there. Okay. Remember also that aside from the NASA centers, we also have internships at Wallops Island in Virginia, New York, right, and West Virginia as well. All of those are managed by Goddard in Maryland. Next slide, please. All right. So these are the benefits of being a STEM engagement intern. Of course, you have a stipend. Now, the pay for these are already set. There's a set. If you come in seeking a bachelor's, then this is what it is. That's the pay. There is no negotiation up and down. Okay. There may be a little discrepancy depending on how many credits you have under your belt, but the stipend is pretty much set. And we do take students that are in master's degree and PhD also as well. But most of the students that come in through STEM engagement are undergraduate students. Okay. And for these, you also, if you're a freshman, you can get an internship as well. You don't have to be 30 credits under your belt like Pathway was. Because now, especially with dual enrollment, many students come to the university or college already with some credits under their belt, right? Whether it's AP courses or dual enrollment or things like that, that already can tell us a little bit about your character as as a professional. So, but you get to network a lot with your peers. You get to meet a lot of the scientists, those that work with you and those that work with your peers, right? And it's immersive. This is an experience. Once you're done, no one can take that away from you. And when you put it on your resume, that stands out that you enter a NASA internship for a semester or so. And you are put in real research areas. You are put in with real missions that will you one day, even though you did a little tiny piece of that puzzle, maybe 8 years later, that mission will fly out into space. And guess what? You did work on that mission, even if it was a short period of time. So that's an experience. Next slide. Yes, thank you. All right. So here's how you apply to the NASA STEM engagement internships. You go to intern.nasa.gov and you click where it says apply here. You create your profile. Here you have an opportunity to do both, to upload your resume in a PDF or Word, and also to create your resume in there as well. Do both. It doesn't hurt. As you're creating your profile, you have to answer some questions. Please answer all the questions and don't leave any questions blank. And they are on a rotating basis. So that means that every day new positions are posted. But remember, now for the summer, right now, they are awarding all the fall positions. So if you want to be here in the fall, you have to apply right now. Okay, so, and now I also recommend this to students. I mean, this is just a personal recommendation. If you get one of these positions and you're between, oh, that's going to send me back a semester versus not going to the internship, I still will recommend that you seek out the internship. In the fall is when we have the least number of students applying to positions. Okay, the least numbers, followed by the least number in the spring. And then the one that we get the most number of students applying for a position, it's in the summer. I will tell you that for every position in the summer, we may get around 30 to 40 applicants for one position. For the fall, we may get around 10 to 15 applicants. For the spring, we will get anywhere between 20 and 25. Okay, so certainly we want you to have the best chances of getting one of these positions. And if you have to weigh between going to internship with NASA versus getting behind a semester, it is up to you. But if I was, in that position, I certainly will put NASA first, only because that may help me in the future. And people will want to know about what I did with NASA, how I, did the work with NASA, and what I thought about working with NASA, and all of that. So, yes. Next slide, please. All right. So these are the requirements as well for the internships. You must also be a U.S. citizen. The education, you must be enrolled in an institution. You must also have, you will provide your transcripts. You will provide, references and all of that. So as you go building your profile, make sure that everything is checked green in the tool where you build your profile. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so here's the tool. As you can see, you will have all of these check boxes. Make sure they're green as you go and complete each section. If one of them is not checked off or is not green, that means you missed something, and go and double check. And always make sure to save, and continue, because otherwise you may think that you did part of it, and then you may lose some of the writing or documentation. So make sure you always double check that you're checking every section, and always save and continue. Next slide. Okay. This is another important part of it, and that is, they are providing you with questions. Here's an example. These questions may change as the projects change, but I will always recommend students from someone that applied for positions way back when, someone that looks at these now and hires interns. Like I said, I'm right now I have 3 interns under my belt that I'm their mentor. You must provide an answer to every single question. That's an opportunity for you to describe or to create a scenario where you can show us what you did. So it's not just, I participated in NCAS. That's great. But what did you do? If you say I was part of the Gemini red team, what does that mean? Tell us your role, how that changed you, how that changed your peers. What was the end result? Tell us all of that. Because everyone that applies to these positions are going to have the 3.0 GPAs. And if you think, oh, I don't have a 3.9, that's okay. But if you have a good narrative of all of these questions answered, trust me, there are some people out there that have a 4.0 and leave 3 questions blank. Guess what? Just a 4.0 doesn't tell us about that person's character and what they're capable of. So never leave a question blank, because the minute you do that, you miss an opportunity to tell us about yourself. Okay, so next slide, please. Letters of recommendation. This is something that may go away soon, because letters of recommendation may not be required in the near future. And that is because sometimes the students has done everything that they're supposed to do, and until the letter of recommendation comes in, that application is not complete. Okay, so as of right now, I think if you need a letter of recommendation, you need to seek out the professor. You need to seek out your current boss if you are working part-time or full-time, and make sure that they do it, because until that is done, your application is still incomplete. Okay. That may change in the near future if it hasn't already, because that was a conversation that, as someone who uses the system a lot and sees, all these hindrances that the system may have that would limit the number of students to apply, we provided recommendation, and that was one of them. But for the moment, follow through recommendation letter. Seek your professors. Make sure you remind them. Make sure you're on them for those letters, because that way, as soon as those letters are done, you'll see that you also get a check mark for letters of recommendations. Okay, next slide. And here's a comparison of all the 3 different internships that you can apply. Again, Pathways, USA Jobs, JPL, and STEM engagement. So, Jenny, anything you want to add about this slide?
Yeah, just going back to the actual NASA STEM engagement overview, just want to just remind everyone that as an NCAS scholar, you actually have a leg up because NASA does provide funding, set aside allocation, a certain number of allocation during the each of the terms for NCAS scholars to then be eligible to be selected, and in an essence, their internship has been paid for by NASA. So for instance, if you're interested in an internship during summer of 2021 and you'd like to attend Kennedy Space Center or JPL or Johnson Space Center, submit your application, because as an NCAS scholar, your internship, if you get selected by those centers, will be paid for. And so your mentor who, selects students for their opportunity will not have to use their research dollars to pay for your summer internship. So NCAS scholars definitely take advantage of the STEM engagement program through the NASA internship site and submit your application.
Correct. Make sure, yes, and you'll meet some interns tomorrow, and you'll meet an intern that was you, right, a couple of years ago, and he's now an intern with us here at NASA Kennedy. And so definitely you have an opportunity because of NCAS that you just need to take advantage of that. Complete your application, submit them in, and you will have a good chance of getting one of those positions. Next slide. Do we have a next slide?
Mm-hmm.
Is this me or you, Jenny? I forgot.
I can do this slide, Lester.
Okay, go ahead.
So this slide just captures in summary form just the value of the internships that we had talked about. Again, you're contributing to NASA STEM research, and you're working towards being a part of NASA STEM engagement strategic plan, and being a part of a diverse workforce. You're fostering and inspiring innovation with new and fresh ideas for us. You have access, networking opportunity to a wide body of knowledgeable folks, people who are really known for their field of research. And so we encourage that networking once you become a part of the NASA family. And then, of course, you become our ambassadors for as an intern. Hopefully, you'll go out and tell your peers and colleagues about our programs, not only about NCAS, but also about the internship opportunities and the programs. For the STEM engagement internships, again, real quick summary, it's short-term projects that are specific to a research topic. There is flexibility in selecting specific majors. It includes STEM majors as well as business majors. For the JPL STEM internships, though, those are short-term research projects guided by mentors, but they are offered year-round, so spring, fall, and summer. And full-time opportunities as well as part-time opportunities are available. Pathway internships are more long-term, and you can work on multiple projects at the same time. And the focus there is on your core major.
I will also not discourage anyone, but certainly, for example, Pathways, it took me 2 terms to try to get into Pathways. So the first time I failed, I didn't get in. And so it's going to happen. For Pathways or for STEM internships or the JPL, it's going to happen. You just have to continue be persistent, continue doing it. You learn every time you do a new application, every time you apply for a new position, you learn new techniques and new ways to approach it. So don't be discouraged. I had an intern 2 semesters ago that I was the mentor for. She applied for 50 positions before she got her first position at Langley. And after she got that position at Langley, for the next 4 semesters, she was offered other positions, one after the other, without even applying for it. And like I said, your work will speak for itself. Similar situation happened with my intern right now. One of them applied for a position at Goddard, and she got it. And so, she is crediting it us for giving her the opportunity here, but certainly it helps. All right. So questions. I think our next, the rest of the time is for questions.
Hello, I received many questions in the IO conference link, and I will read the questions by the number of votes, and I will invite all the center reps and institutional coaches to give the response if you have the answer. Also, I noticed that so many questions that has been responded through the presentations. They just have been posted before you mentioned the information. So I will skip those questions.
Okay. And also remember, if we can't get to all the questions today, if you provide us the questions or during my office hours this afternoon from 3 to 5 Eastern time, I can certainly entertain more questions one-on-one. You come in there and I will certainly be available.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you, Lester. So the first question is that, are there any internships for students who are only able to go to school part-time, or they are only available for full-time students?
I'm going to speak for both pathways and STEM engagement. For pathways, you have to be full-time. For STEM engagement, there may be exceptions because we also do provide internship for high school students. So there may be exceptions, but I would also, if any of my peers will comment here, I will also tend to say it's also mostly full-time.
This is Jenny and I'll speak to the JPL internships. JPL does offer opportunities to students attending part-time. So we are flexible in accepting both full-time students as well as part-time students.
Hey, Lester, this is Mitch. A lot of centers do that, and it really is depending on the center, and you have to talk to the mentor, see if that's something they're willing to do, but a lot of them do. I know we do at Stennis.
Right. And I know at Kennedy we don't, but I know that I've heard of other cases where they do. And so that's why I said it's, I know that there are exceptions. You have to arrive to that point where you have the position and now you can negotiate because of part-time accommodations or things like that. And that's between now the student, the center, and the mentor, so but it's possible. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is one thing that improves your chances at successfully getting an internship? I assume this is for all 3 types of internships. So I would say, this is Uyên from Ames and Armstrong. The most important thing is networking. Besides your excellent applications, you need to keep your network. Keep in touch of your mentors here at NCAS. Keep in touch of your center rep. Keep their email address. Reach out to them, and they are willing to answer all of your questions. And if you want to reach out to, let's say, I want to do some lab research in California area, then they will guide you to the right point of contact so that you can find the opportunities. So networking is one of the most important things to get to raise your chance to get an internship. My colleagues, if you want to add on.
Yes, I want to say that certainly answering every question in the USA Jobs profile will also help. If they give you 5,000 characters, use them all. If they give you 250 in the STEM internship profile, use them all. Again, tell us your story, how your experience that you've had has changed and how that will help you with the new experience at NASA. Not just that you participated in NCAS, also spell out every acronym. Don't leave it anything NCAS or don't leave anything in acronyms. You have to spell it out. So those are key. I've been in panels where we're selecting interns for a semester, and one of the panelists, if they find one misspelled word, you may have a 4.0 and all these errors in spelling and grammar and so forth. No excuse for that. You have tools that you can use to help you with your grammar and spelling and punctuation and all of that. So, and I was sad because there's three of us in a panel. One of the panelists already says, I don't want to look at any documents or any applications that have misspelled words. So again, you don't know who is the person that's going to look at your document. So make sure that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's. Okay.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is a civil servant and how is that different from a contractor? I guess because we mentioned the civil servant a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I was a contractor, meaning that NASA provided funding for my program through an institution, a university. Okay. So that means my paycheck came from the university, but NASA provided those fundings to the university. So that's a contractor. They're using services provided by institutions, organizations, or industry, right? Now, a civil servant is someone who works for the government, whose paycheck comes from the government directly, so from the federal government. And basically we have all the benefits from the federal government, whereas the contractor has the benefits from their contracted institution. So in my case, it was Texas State University before. So my benefits as far as leave and healthcare and all of that came from them, not from NASA. But I was representing and doing NASA work at the time.
Great answer. Thank you, Lester. The next question is, it looks and sounds like this is Pathway is a university-only opportunity. What about community college students?
Yes, and so the key there is, with the intent of a community college students to transfer to a 4-year institution, then absolutely yes, it still applies to you. Remember, you have to be a sophomore. So that means you're in your second year, finishing your AA, right? Your AA. And as long as you can apply, as a community college student, you can apply as long as you can prove to the Pathway program that when you are finished with your AA, you've been accepted into a college or a university program that to seek out a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree. Okay, because remember, you have to have your time to do those 640 hours. So as a community college student, in your second year, go ahead and apply, because by the time you get accepted, you will have an acceptance letter from my 4-year institution that you are going to continue your studies and you're going to seek out a bachelor's degree. So as a freshman in a community college, you cannot apply because you don't have those 30 hours, right? And as a sophomore, it's not enough time, or as a second year in community, it's not enough time. So you have to prove that you are transferring over to a 4-year. But as a community college student, you can apply. As a college student or university student, you can also apply in your sophomore year.
Thank you. The next question is, during the COVID, how does doing the 640 hours at the Center for the Pathway internship work?
So I will tell you that some of those Pathway students right now, they're doing the work remotely or virtually. So it is still part of their Pathways experience. And some of them may be assigned to a center, a mission critical area. And so, but they still are very much engaged. So those hours you may be working from home, but they still will count towards your pathway 640 hours. As a matter of fact, we had our launch of the Perseverance, right? Last week, and the people that were working with me were Pathways interns in the Office of Public Affairs. And so they don't come to the office every so often, but they were still Pathways. They were still doing their hours virtually.
That's great. The next question, I believe the next question has been addressed. What kinds of work do interns do? Coffee runs, projects, etc. I want to emphasize that at NASA, our interns do not do copy paperwork runs, coffee runs. We do real project, hands-on projects. Even myself, when I was an intern in the Office of Procurement, I do the real contract. I work on the real thing, and we don't let we don't let interns do meaningless work. Any other advice from my colleagues?
I do agree with you. The interns really get real big projects. For example, when I was going through, one of my peers, his project was to oversee a drawbridge that connects the mainland, East Florida, to the Merritt Island where Kennedy sits. Well, that bridge needs to be redone, and he was in charge of gathering the contracts and overseeing that project. That's huge. I mean, you are a student at a college, an engineer student, and they're giving you this real world project where now you're in charge of this major construction project, to connect Kennedy Space Center, Merritt Island, where it sits, to the mainland. So that was big. That was just one example.
Yeah, thank you. The next questions. Should we apply to internships physically near us, or does the current pandemic let us participate fully remote?
I can take that question real quick. And basically, yes, I would advise you to apply to any project that is aligns with your interests in the remote virtual setting, which all NASA internships are we're actually performing in remote virtual internships. That gives you an opportunity to expand your horizon and working at any other NASA centers that might not be close to where you live, that isn't geographically near where you live. So definitely take advantage of that while this remote virtual internship is still in session, to apply to any opportunity that aligns with your interests. And geographically, that geographic piece is now no longer a boundary. So take advantage of that.
Thank you, Jenny. There's another question for you. For the JPL internship, if we just transfer to a university, do we only send the transcripts and GPA from the new university?
Great question. So if you do have, if you're just transferring, you're more than likely not going to have GPA from that university. So definitely send us your latest GPA or transcript of your latest institution. So that would come from your previous semester.
Thank you.
That will also be counted, for example, in the STEM engagement or the pathways. If you send a transcript and in the transcript doesn't show a GPA, they will get back to you and say, submit the one that shows the GPA. So then you'll be forced to provide us the previous semester from the previous college transcript. So we will catch that at some point.
Awesome. I've seen two questions that has the same content. Can you apply for internships if you are in the community college? And I believe, Lester, you already talked about this. but aims for
Correct.
pathway. But I assume this question is for the
STEM.
internship.
Yes, so if you're in community college, you can apply for a STEM internship. That is not an issue. Remember, STEM internships are only for 1 semester, so therefore it doesn't affect the 640 hours that are required for Pathway. So that's why Pathway is a little different. But for STEM engagement, yes, you can apply for internships for that 1 semester rotation.
Thank you.
Take a moment and just say that we've had more than 70 of our students of our NCAS alumni participate in the internship program and receive them. Some have gotten multiple. So I just wanted to encourage you that you're in a great position to apply for one, and that being part of NCAS shows a level of interest and a level of commitment. So all of those students, as you know, as part of NCAS, are community college students. So I just wanted to encourage you that it's a possibility and that this is a great stepping stone.
Well, I mean, that's a great statistics, considering that, we have 150 plus students right now. And if, let's just say, you have 1 in 2 chances of getting one. So, it's if 70 of you get one, I mean, it's amazing. And you already provide us insight into the type of student that you are and professional. So, it's certainly, and we're here to help at every step.
Yeah, I just want to add that at JPL, and I'm sure at all NASA centers, that we actually love to support NCAS scholars. We know that you've gone through and, are committed to the online version, the online session of NCAS, and then the remote virtual piece of the challenge. And so we know that you are committed to, and dedicated to being part of the NASA community. And we actually bring in a lot of NCAS interns through who participated in NCAS in the past as interns. And we actually have had a couple who converted to full-time employees as well. I think a lot of you in Mercury Gold, Ryan Loper is an example of an NCAS scholar who became an intern and then full-time employee, and now is coming back full circle to mentor an NCAS team. So we love NCAS scholars, and we look for that entry on your resume and your application.
Yes, I want to add, remember that you can put search keywords in your application when you're applying. Well, that's one of the keywords that we look at here at KSC. We put NCAS as the keyword, or we actually spell it out, and then only those applications with those particular keywords come up, and so those applicants, move up in the list of applicants. So I will encourage everyone. Now, I saw something that Lauren said: 640 hours of current school to apply to give to Pathway. The 640 hours are 640 hours that you will dedicate to Pathways once you're in Pathway, to be applied towards learning what will be your future job with NASA. It's not that you've done already, at school. It's, yes, you will work at least 640, correct, working as a Pathways intern, at the very least. Many earn more than 1,000 before they are converted. I will just tell you that. For example, in my case, I think I earned over 900 hours before I was converted. So I did my 640, and then like a couple months later, I converted. So it was over 900 hours.
That's great. Thank you. Let's move to the next question. If you apply for a Pathway internship and don't get in, do you receive feedback or how to improve your application?
So usually that doesn't happen because it's all done electronically. The system will send you've been referred, or you've been, you may be contacted for an interview. But with Pathways, because it comes from the Office of Human Resources, they are the ones that deal with that, and usually they do not give you feedback. When I applied the first time and didn't get it, no one got back to me telling me what I did wrong, what I did right. What I will recommend is, when you are doing your interviews, that you focus your interview questions on some of the projects that you may be handling. Don't focus on, for example, again, for pathways and all STEM, your salaries are set, right? For pathway, it can be $1 per hour more or less, depending on how many credits you have, or if you're coming in with a master's or a PhD. But otherwise, the salary is set. So that's not a moment to negotiate how much am I going to get paid, because that's all set. But those are the times when you get an interview to ask questions that are relevant to what kind of projects do you expect, me to lead, or for what kind of projects, should I expect from my mentor? And, when you're talking to the mentor, if they know the project, ask questions about the project. Keep that conversation going, focus on project, focus on the research, not necessarily on your vacation time, your pay time, your leave time, because those are set standards and there's really no negotiation there.
That's correct. Let's move to the next question. What advice do you have for non-traditional students making a career change who don't yet have the highly STEM-focused resume?
Excellent question. Now, I was a non-traditional student. Even though my original careers are STEM focused, I was non-traditional, meaning that this is actually my 4th degree that I have. And so that certainly is still a change for me, right? The last time I was in college was 20 years ago. So it certainly was a different setup. But if you're, for example, your resume doesn't have the STEM focus or that area, focus on your skill set, right? So if you are, for example, a journalist, that's not STEM, but certainly journalism is important for the agency when it comes to social media, writing, all that. Focus on the skills that you certainly have a strong hold on and show us examples of that skill being applied. Not just that I can write an article, but you have to show us examples. How are you going to develop that vocabulary that is going to help you create a scientific story? Or maybe you do have experience in writing science articles, but focus on the skills that are your strength and twist it a little bit in the sense that, provide us examples of how that skill is seen, right? Or how that skill it's part of you. And so and that will help. For sure, it will help. I don't know if Jenny has anything to add.
I just wanted to say, yes, I agree. In addition to that, I think partaking in activities like NCAS, student challenges, and looking for opportunities in STEM, like student academic projects or NASA STEM challenges or competition. Those activities, you can be a part of and engage in to show your dedication and interest in the STEM field, and that will play up the STEM part of your resume. So I
will also add show initiative. So, for example, now that you've been part of NCAS, a STEM focus, competition and initiative, when you go back to your community college, maybe you now want to start a STEM club or a STEM related, something, right? Gathering. And maybe you are now leading other students or bringing other students in to be part of what you experience. And that also shows initiative, and it shows character and leadership and all many other characteristics that NASA is looking for all the time.
Great advice. Yeah. So move to the next question. Will this slide be posted online for us? I will leave it to the coordinator, I believe.
I believe the session is being recorded, and that will be posted on Canvas and shared with everyone.
Excellent. Okay. Next question. What GPA should I put if this is my first semester in a new university or transfer? I don't have GPA in the new university.
Right. So again, I would recommend using the GPA from your previous university in the last semester.
Okay. Please keep in mind for that. Next question. Is there any volunteer internship program at NASA? If so, which centers?
So there are some internship volunteering, but that's very unique. So, for example, we've had in the past, and I'm just speaking on behalf of Kennedy because this is what I know. In the past, we've had interns that come to Kennedy Space Center through a collaboration with a university. At Kennedy Space Center, we used to have the research educator resource center. And for example, University of Central Florida used to manage that center for NASA, and they had interns come through that center as volunteers. But again, it's not a position that we post on the STEM engagement website. It's not something that you're going to find somewhere. Those are probably center-based, based on what centers and partners of centers have to offer. I don't know if any of my peers have had a similar experience at their centers.
Yes, AIMS has a volunteer internship program. We call it a VIP program. And the VIP program is more flexible than the agency STEM internships. You can pretty much enroll year-round at any time, and you can work directly with your mentor to plan a specific schedule. And you don't need to commit 100% to the set hours. You can work the schedule with the mentors, and you can actually come back for VIP many times. And for VIP, sometimes you have the priority to enter into STEM internships after you complete the VIP programs. Again, let me know, email me if you want more information. And I see in the chat that Stannis also have the volunteer internship program. So for the next question, is there, let's see. What would be some other organizations to look into for STEM internships? For example, DOE or NFS, NSF.
Right.
Yeah.
NSF.
Yeah.
So I will recommend in USA Jobs, if you're looking for a pathway, go to usajobs.gov and search engine, put pathways, and it will give you all of them. But if you want to increase your chances of obtaining another internship way of getting another NASA internship, you can seek other programs. In your state that you're coming from, you have what we call space grants. Okay. Florida Space Grant, Georgia Space Grant, every state has a NASA Space Grant Consortium. They are allocated to have interns, to pay for interns to go and do some NASA-related research at universities in that state or at a NASA center. So I would recommend that you seek out the Space Grant Consortium of your state and seek out to see if they have an application that is active or that it will be active in accepting interns for the fall or the spring or the summer. So that's another way of NASA paying for your internships. And they may have other programs as well. So seek out your space grant at the state that you're from. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Lester. Just want to remind you, if you have questions, please enter into the IO link instead of in the chat box so we can keep track of the questions. The next question is the pathway internship still good for aspiring astronauts?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Again, remember, when you major, you can't major in astronauts, okay? So you have to major in a STEM field. And then once you get a degree, you will be able to apply to become an astronaut. And one way of getting to an astronaut position is through, working for NASA already via pathways or STEM. And all these experiences will work to your advantage when you're applying to becoming an astronaut. So don't discard any opportunity. If your ultimate goal is to become an astronaut, take on every opportunity you get, whether it's Pathway, whether it's JPL, whether it's STEM, whether it's Space Grant. Your university may have some funding for some internships. Do it at your university. Again, you have to go and get that opportunity. It usually doesn't come to you. See, to be here, you have to apply, you have to go through a process, right? So that means you have the drive already, you know? And so you have to continue to have that drive and get the next opportunity and obtain the next one and the next one. And don't keep all these little nuggets on the side, because all of those, when it's time for applying for becoming an astronaut, you can have thousands of stories on all your experiences that you've had throughout, your education career, throughout your STEM career.
Thank you, Lester. For the next question, is the area that you are in for your pathway where you will receive a position once you are finished?
That is correct. I don't know if my colleagues have had a similar experience, but certainly that was for me. I was okay. I'm in a STEM engagement. I was focused on research with NASA EPSCoR, and today I'm still in STEM engagement. They provided me the NCAS, but I'm still working my NASA research part with National Science Foundation. And so, yes, usually that's the case, that if you are put in a pathway position, that will be your permanent position one day. When you finish your degree, they award you your permanency or your position.
But that will not limit you to apply for other opportunities within NASA.
Correct.
Open for NASA employees only.
Right, correct. Because you have the public opportunities and then you have internal opportunities, and that's where you can expand your knowledge as to the wide range of NASA opportunities, not just in your center, but across centers.
Let's move to the next question. What would be the big difference between an internship and a co-op, aka pathway? Is a co-op where you go to school for one semester and intern at the organization for one semester and rotate until you get your degree?
Correct. That is correct. That used to be the old terminology, co-op.
Yeah.
The new terminology is pathways. Okay, but that is correct. It's you rotate in your center, 1 semester on, 1 semester off, 2 semester off, 2 semesters on. It's up to you how you want to set that up. But you rotate until number 1, you have to finish the 640 hours, and number 2, you finish your degree. So those are the 2 major components of that. And co-op used to be the old term. Now it's pathways.
Mm-hmm. This is for Jenny, I believe. What benefits do interns get if they were going to a JPL internship?
Great. Great question. So JPL interns are, for the most part, considered affiliates. So you're not a JPL employee when you participate in the Education Office internship programs. As an affiliate, you are receiving a stipend. And in some cases, if you are eligible, you also receive a housing allowance and a travel allowance. And those allowances are really there to help students who are non-local to the area offset some of the living expenses in the Pasadena or LA County area. In addition to that, students will also have the benefit of meeting and networking with folks on lab, but you will not receive health benefits or dental benefits in that regard.
Thank you, Jenny. Next question. Is this appropriate to contact the mentors and NCAS staff to use as recommendations with their permission? I would say absolutely, but I let the NCAS staff talk to it.
And I think that's appropriate, but it will be determined by each individual NCAS NASA representative and NCAS coordinator and so forth. Certainly, if you feel comfortable reaching out to us and, providing us a lot of feedback and, for example, I haven't had much one-on-one with many of the students. So I don't know many of the students. I wouldn't be able to provide an accurate record of how you work and so forth. But certainly, I'm open to help as much as I can.
Yeah, likewise. And if you work with a mentor in NCAS, and you can ask the mentor directly if they're comfortable, give you a recommendation on your application, that's absolutely appropriate.
Hey, this is Stacy. I just wanted to chime in. We have a process in place for letters of recommendation for the students. So if you're requesting one, just send it to your coordinator and we'll handle it from there.
Thank you, Stacy. That's great. Next question. How has networking changed in terms of future job offers with interns working remotely? This is a great question. I personally think since NASA going to virtual internships this summer, I think there are more networking opportunities for the interns because there are more agency-wide events than the in-person internships, in my opinion. Any inputs from my colleagues?
I would definitely agree. The students are invited to so many virtual events, and that's a great time for the students to, meet, greet, take notes of who's presenting and who's attending.
Yeah.
And reach out to them with particular questions for sure. And so we didn't have that before. Everything was face-to-face and center focus, and now it's actually agency focus, really.
That's correct. Next question. What are the characteristics of each center, or how can I find them?
So I would certainly recommend watching those center videos.
Yes, I was about to mention that.
Yeah. Yes, that will be a great start.
In addition to that, I'd recommend doing a little bit of research on the NASA site, and each of the center has their own website as well. So going through each of the center sites to study and read about, what is the specific research focus for that center. You'll find also on our public website, there is a lithograph somewhere that summarizes that information for a lot of folks. So you'll be able to find that on our website.
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you, Karen, for posting the site. Next question. How are you supposed to go to an internship in the fall or spring section if you are supposed to be full-time in school? Should I take a semester off?
So for the NASA STEM internship program, that does require that you are participating full-time. So it will require that you take the semester off if you choose to participate during the fall or spring semester. In addition to that, NASA does offer internships during the summer, and that's when a lot of folks who take the summer off do participate full-time. And so that won't interfere with your academic schedule. For JPL's internship, we have the option of participating part-time throughout your academic year. So if you are, taking full-time course load or part-time course load, you may participate in an internship that is part-time, anywhere from minimum of 9 hours up to however many hours you're comfortable in participating in that semester.
Thank you, Jenny. Next question. At my state, we don't have any NASA center. The closest center is Alabama and Florida. Is it still possible to join Pathways?
Yes, so it really, Pathways is across all NASA centers. And what you want to do is get in the Pathway track, right? And so it really doesn't matter which center, what region of the country. As long as you get in, and once you're in, other doors will open. If you are only required to be at that one center, then maybe once you finish pathways, then you can transfer to other centers. That happened to some of my colleagues that are in my office right now that enter pathways at Marshall, and another one enter pathways at Stennis. And after they were finished pathways, they offer them a position at Kennedy. And so they transfer over to Kennedy, where they always wanted to work anyways. And so, so again, it's not, do not limit yourself on geographical location. You go and apply to all of the pathways, no matter where they are. And once you attain them and once you have them under your belt, then that's when then you negotiate or you see what else can happen. But don't right off the bat say, oh, since I can't go to Florida, I'm not going to apply.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
What happens if you get accepted to 2 internships at the same time? What do you do then?
Okay, for all STEM, for the STEM engagement internships, the system will only process one at a time. So that means if you come in for the fall, even though maybe four interviews you went to and all 4 of them say that you're their number one, in your system will only show one of those 4 as giving you an opportunity. You have to accept it or reject it. If you reject it, then the second one can come in and offer you a position. Same thing for you have to reject it, and the third will slip in. So the system itself for all STEM will only take one at a time once you've either rejected that position or the time for you to accept that position has expired. Okay. For pathways, now that's different. For pathway, you can get 2, 3, 4, 5 different pathways, and then you choose which one you want. Because again, you're applying through USA Jobs. You can go to all the interviews, and they can all offer you the position, and that's where you can negotiate, I suppose, your position, because now you have 3 others that are also accepted you, and the officer, the human resource officer, will ask you that question because it was asked to me. This is what your position is. This is what your salary will be. Have you been offered other positions? If the answer is yes, they want to know the position and what are they offering, and they can counter offer at that point if your office wants you that bad, or if they're willing to let you go to the other office. So pathway very different. All STEM, you can only accept one position at a time.
Right.
I don't know, JPL.
Yes, can I add to that real quick? So
Yes.
in the event that you are offered multiple positions, because it is possible for you to be offered a JPL internship and NASA STEM engagement internship and a pathways. So in the event that you do get an offer from multiple NASA internship offers, I'd recommend that if you haven't accepted, first off, if you accepted a position already, please follow through with that acceptance. Don't walk back on your commitment. That looks really bad and is frowned upon at every NASA center. So if you've already accepted and committed to a position, please move forward with that. And, you can tell the other 2 offers that, you'd love to work with, them in the future, but you have committed to an opportunity already and you would like to follow through with that commitment. That looks better than going back and saying, well, I accepted, but now I don't think I want this because the other opportunity looks more, more along the path of where I want to do for the summer. That is frowned upon. So please don't do that. In the event that you have not accepted any of the position, then definitely reach out to each of those offers and let them know that you've also received other opportunities from different, from a different program. And you want to see if they will be willing to explain to you exactly what you'll be working on to provide you with more details in making that decision and selecting the right project for you.
That's a great advice, Jenny. Yeah. Let's move to the next question. The internship website says that the applications for fall 2020 were due on July 6th. Are there some that are still open? Currently, for STEM internships, the deadline has been passed. But I urge you, if you want to apply for STEM internships, please put in your application now, because it takes time for you to complete the application and polish it and make it look great. So once your application is in the system, you can apply to any terms, the comment sections, and you can even select the projects that you want to apply to. So don't hesitate. You can put in your application now.
Yes, I will definitely do not worry about the deadline saying July 6th. There are many application positions that they're still looking for applicants for the fall. So just put in your application, apply for them, and see where it goes. But certainly, don't be discouraged. Go ahead and apply, complete the application, because once your application is in the system, I've done this as well as someone who hires. I've had positions that I put in the system and I have 0 applicants. So what I do is I go in the system, put in keywords, and then those keywords give me the applicants who have those keywords in their application. And then from those that come up, I interview. And they may have never applied for my position, but I was the one to seek them out, and therefore I interview them. And out of 4 or 5 that I interview, I pick one and give that position to that one person that never even applied for my position. So make your applications complete, and trust me that people will start looking at your application without even you knowing. So I certainly have done it.
Thank you, Lester. We are at the mark of the hour right now, and we understand that some of our staff and students need to leave. So we will compile the rest of the questions that got unanswered so far to make sure they will be answered and distributed.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who participated today, and to our speaker, Lester, Ewan, and other NASA representatives for being here and supporting the internship overview panel. I want to remind everyone that tomorrow at the same time, there will be an intern panel where you will get to meet NCAS alumni who have been in your shoes in previous years that have participated in internships at various centers, and they'll be providing insight to their experience, and that would be a great opportunity to ask many questions as well. Back to you, Lester.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciated all the questions. We are here to help you, so please do not hesitate to reach out. As someone who has gone through the process, have gotten a position, and now hires people in your shoes, I certainly want to help you to make sure that you have the best opportunity of getting a position yourself. So certainly reach out. My hours are from 3 to 5, which is starting 30 minutes ago. So I will go on there right away, and we can have a conversation and go back and forth to make sure that your application it's as best as you can put it. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for great questions, and to all the team members, thank you for your support as well.
Excellent. I will turn it back to Christine, the host.
All right. Thank you so much, Wynn. I appreciate that. All right. If we could just compile all of the questions so that we could send those out to everyone, so that we can make sure that we are answering all of the questions that came in today. And we will get those questions answered and put up into Canvas for everyone to be able to look over. So thank you guys again for hosting and for this wonderful presentation. Lots of good questions were answered. So thank you all. And we'll go ahead and end the meeting.